Everybody, listen to me. I'm gonna tell you.
Is that you singing, Chris?
How it's supposed to be.
Yes, sir. That's Chris Denham, rock and roll star. Hey, this is Chris and Mike Show. I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is Mark Young, and we're live right now on YouTube and Twitch. So thank you for joining us over there. And we're going to have a fantastic show because Mark's a super cool human. Like his life resume, Mike, is mind-boggling.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Mark. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I wish what he said was true, but
It is true, man.
It's always true unless it's not.
Why is Siri talking to me? Shut up, Siri. It's absolutely true. Mark
It's true if we say it's true.
Just Mark and I went to lunch. I met Mark because I joined the Rotary Club of Mesa. Is it the Mesa Rotary Club that we call it? Or is it Rotary? Okay, so I met Mark there, and one of my things I decided when I joined the Rotary Club, I was going to take everybody to lunch. Well, that didn't really work because, it just didn't work. But Mark was the first one I took to lunch, and we ended up sitting there for about 2.5 hours because we have so much in common. But his life is it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And we're supposed to have him on a couple weeks ago, but I triple booked this. So he was kind enough to come on today when we had a last minute cancellation. I was going to get him on the show regardless. Oh, somebody did you see this, Mike?
I did.
Hey guys, looking forward to this episode. I just
That's
have a
pretty
thing.
cool.
I have a thing that was badass, man. I never
that
seen
was
that
that
before.
was awesome.
So
Right on.
Michael, I'm going to butcher his last name.
Michael Castillo. I thought it was Castillo.
Thank you. You're right.
Castillo.
Castillo.
He listens diligently and he always chimes in, and I just figured out how to do that. So thank you.
Right
for
on, Michael.
tuning in, Michael.
Thank you. We're going to send you a donut in the mail.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
I'd like a donut.
Okay, I'll bring you a donut tomorrow, Mark.
No donut. I'm on a diet.
Okay,
Again.
okay. So because you have such an amazing life story, because I know it all, I don't know where to start with you, because usually we just do conversations. We're not interviewing. We don't like that because it's kind of boring, So it's a conversation thing. So let's start out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's start with this because this is fascinating to me. A little bird told me, meaning you, while we were at lunch, that you dated someone who has since gone on to become an epic figure in the rock and roll / folk rock genre for decades.
Oh, do tell.
Decades. And here's the kicker. She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
So my
my
question
fault.
is, right, well, that was the thing. Was that a George Costanza thing? Like you turned her to lesbianism?
Yes.
Because it's rare, man.
I've tried to get her back on this team, but it hasn't.
They
worked
rarely
out
come
very
back.
well, so.
Right, so I'll let you share that story because that was one of the most fascinating things that we talked about that day at lunch, a couple months ago. So go ahead, Mark Young. Who is this?
There were,
who is
I
this
grew up in
person?
Leavenworth, Kansas, and there was this group of the artsy, you know what I mean? The choir, drama, band people that, no one else wanted to hang out with. So we all hung out together, and one of the people in that group was Melissa Etheridge. And so we were good friends. My current wife and her were best friends, and this other dude and I were best friends. And so, we went to dances together and all that. And then her and I dated when I was a senior, and she was a sophomore in high school. And, it was going fine, I thought.
That's awesome.
And then on my 18th birthday, she showed up at my birthday party. So my mom had rented the local pool for my 18th birthday party. We never did stuff like that, big deal. And I invited, both my friends. And so we were having a pool party, and she showed up and said, I'm going to break up with you today. And I was like, jeez. And then she's like, because I'm a lesbian.
Oh, no.
And so, it's bad enough that she's breaking up with me on my 18th birthday.
But you got to throw that on top of it.
Yeah. And then I felt, like somehow it was my fault. I wasn't exactly sure. So I went and hid in the locker room and just bawled like a baby. And what I remember about that is, on the stereo in the locker room was, what was the name of it? We Are As Cold as Ice, that Foreigner song.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking like, oh, that is so true. She just tore my heart out. So
I know why they wrote that song.
and it was for you. It's for you. And yeah, so we're friends now. It was funny, I was going through a bunch of stuff here at home, and I had always teased my wife that she was after you, not me. My Jeanette was always like, no, 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 no. I was digging through this box of stuff, and I found this big stack of notes like you pass in school, and I read through them. And I handed them to her. I said, you need to reread these with what we know now, and you'll see that I was right. And sure enough. So,
Wow. So she was dating you to get to
Jeanette.
get to Jeanette. Right.
yeah,
That's
Okay.
epic.
Totally rock and roll lifestyle, man.
so used. I felt so
know.
used. Um,
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, that
I see
whole
that part you didn't tell me. So that was fun to learn that part of it.
well,
It's rare that we get a story from our side.
Yeah.
where we
Right.
got used,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you literally got
Exactly.
used.
Me too. Um,
I love it.
so yeah, it was. It was 1977, right? So there wasn't a lot of understanding about. I felt responsible somehow.
Yeah.
And then this group we hung out with, many of them went on to do some pretty amazing things. But turns out all of them except Jeanette and I were gay. So we hurried up and got married. So
I would have too.
we thought there's something in the water over here. I'm not sure what's going on.
We
I
gotta
haven't
get
laughed.
to
I
the
haven't
chapel.
laughed this hard in the first 5 minutes of a show forever. My jowls hurt.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. So
How do we follow that story up, Mark?
Mark's going to follow the story up with this. Now there was a I'm going to call it a company / organization in Chicago, right? That had the elite of comedians through years and years. And John Belushi was one.
John
That's-
Candy,
John Candy. Who
Chris
else?
Farley,
Who else?
Chris Farley.
Right? So this was Studio City. Is that what it's called?
No, Second City Comedy.
Second City.
Second
City.
yeah.
Okay, so this who's come through those doors, right? Like anybody who wanted to break into comedy in like what say 70s, 80s, or 90s somehow went through there, right? If you wanted to get on the map, you had to go through that kind of like actors had to go through the whatever that school is in New York. It's I'm drawing a blank now. Juilliard.
Yeah.
Musicians had to go through Juilliard. Actors had to go like you had to have something credible to go anywhere. So let's touch on that story, Mark.
Okay, so so we had a band. I'm just out of high school. We had an 8-piece band doing mostly covers of pop tunes with horns, right?
Okay. Yep.
And so we're playing a gig in Westport in Kansas City, and I'm having a good night. I was the front guy. Every musician in the band was a better musician than me, but I was the front guy. So 100 pounds heavier, so I weighed 310. Our lead singer wore size 0 pants. She looked like Pat Benatar, little tiny thing. So
Oh, wow.
we were funny
Very
before
nice.
we ever played a note.
Yeah.
And so I was having a good night. It was having a lot of fun. This lady walks up to me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to consider auditioning for Second City for SCTV." And Second City.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went, yeah, because you guys played. People come up and tell you all kinds of crap. Hey, we want to sign you. You're the best band ever. Blah blah.
Oh yeah.
And so in the band, we got pregnant, had our first child. We went back on the road. That was a dumb move, and because we took the baby with us, and came home, and I said, I'm going to call this number to see if it's legit. And I called, and it was legit, and I chickened out. So I didn't go to that audition. But here's what I think is also true. Think about all the fat guys that came through there and where they are today. They all be
dead.
They all be dead. That's
every
right.
one of
So
them.
I think I avoided that, by being a
Or
coward.
The curse. The
Yeah,
Second
that's
City
right.
curse.
The curse of the fat guy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So so that was interesting too. So now so then he gets in. He has a baby, right? They're on the road. They're doing a sound check, and he looks over and sees the babysitter holding their 6-week-old. And he's like, something's got to change. So they stop the band. He moves home, and does what, Mark?
I don't know what you mean.
You
Oh,
got
I
a
got
job.
I got to tell you, while
Yeah.
when I decided that we needed to come home and I looked at
Yeah.
the baby, we were doing a cover of the song "Too Shy Shy," which
Okay.
that alone should have been enough of a reason for me to quit the band and come home.
Right.
I'm
All
not
right,
going to
that's-
argue with you there.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
That was
And,
Kaja Gugu,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
job.
that's good, man.
Hush, hush.
Pull that out
Are you
there.
are?
I'm not sure I could have remembered that band name. Good
Hush,
job.
hush. Are you are?
I-
Shy,
yep.
shy.
Oh,
Hush, hush.
terrible.
Are-
So I
80s,
came
man.
home
80s.
and then I took
yeah.
this. I took a short job doing newspaper advertising, and then got hired as a youth pastor at the church I grew up in.
That's where I was
didn't grow
going.
up in. I started going to when I was in high school.
Mhm.
I started going to church because a friend of mine said, "Hey, you got to come join the youth choir because there's 8 guys and there's 30 girls." I went, "Yeah, sign me up for whatever that is.
I'm
I
in.
want that."
I like those odds.
We went on weekend trips and stuff, but I turned out to be one of those guys. I became a believer. So, after the band thing and all of that, I went back there to run youth group there, and then I stayed in ministry for about 30 years.
How old were you at that point, Mark?
21,
Wow.
Yeah.
22.
See,
20.
see, life resume, man. His life
Wow.
resume is cool.
Absolutely.
So you're Baptist minister,
American Baptist, yeah.
American.
I
Baptist.
have to say American Baptist
Okay.
because
How come?
otherwise you get lined up with some of the crazies. There's a billion versions of Baptist.
Okay.
American Baptist used to be Northern Baptist, and they split with the Southern Baptist over the Civil War. So it was the Northern Baptist and the Southern Baptist. Northern Baptist became American Baptist, and that was the part I was a group of. I was a group I was a part of. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And you did that for 30 years?
Yep.
30
15
years.
of them here in Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think we were doing Jesus work, so I quit.
Yeah.
Became an English professor.
Right.
Did that
Wow.
for a little bit, and then that school closed. I've had that effect, it seems. I get involved in something, and they either turn gay or I close it down. Yeah, and then we had placed an intern over at United Way, and she said they needed somebody to work over there. I went, okay, I need a job, and I've been
Yeah.
there for 11 years. So.
Yeah.
So you currently
So-
work for the United Way?
Yeah, I work for Macy United Way and then this, Azura. So it's 2 nonprofits that do 2 separate things, and I'm the president and CEO of both of those at this point.
Wow. Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's kind of
Busy
cool
life.
having the CEO of the Macy United Way on our show. You know, I mean,
Woo!
that's credibility right
I
there.
am telling
Right.
you right now. Yeah, that's
So-
a big deal.
I'm familiar with the United Way because the company I work for, that's their charity of choice. What does your other charity do?
Oh man, this is a long and very boring.
But that's
story.
okay. But
No, no,
that's
no.
okay. That's
I'm
why you're
curious.
here.
So
Right.
Okay.
Then
And
if I'm curious, everybody else has to be
All right,
curious.
right.
If Chris is curious, that's why we do this.
I know.
I'm
I know
curious.
what it is. I know what it is because I know Mark. But
Well,
I
then you
that's
sit back
but
and let Mark tell me.
I'm
what
gonna
that is.
sit back and just enjoy the show, man.
This-
Come on.
Depending on who's listening, this might get me in trouble, but it won't be the first time.
Nor him or I. So
Oh, good. Well, there we go. United Way is kind of like the Studebaker, I mean, kind of like Blockbuster. It's still living in its glory days of the 70s and 80s, and times have changed, and they have not.
thank you for
So-
saying that.
Well, it's
I,
just
fe-
true.
I feel the same way. I'm
Yeah.
very familiar with what they do, and unfortunately, they came and gave us a presentation that was very. It turned me off because somebody asked a question about where their money was going, and the lady got really rude. She said, we have a board of directors we have to pay. We have a CEO we have to pay. There's money that has to be paid out before anybody gets any money. She
Wow.
literally said those words in
That's
front of
crazy.
like 1,000 employees.
First, she should be fired.
And she might have been.
That's insane. Yeah, I was the head of the state of Arizona United Ways for a couple of years, and I must have said 2 things 1,000 times. One is there's one Blockbuster left in Bend, Oregon, and if we don't figure out what the hell we're doing, we're going to be the national office is going to be in the building next door, because we're out of touch with how people want to give money. And the second
Give me
thing
2
is
quick examples of how. In
of
your opinion.
how we're out of touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like in the 80s, right, or 70s or whatever, pre-internet, people trusted the United Way to know all of the nonprofits in a community that were doing work. And really, regular folks had no access to that information, right? So they didn't know of the Red Cross and Goodwill and Salvation Army, but they trusted that United Way knew the other 80 people, 80 groups that were doing work. So they collected money in the business, gave it to United Way. United Way put together community groups to distribute that money. That all made sense until people could go and find places to give their money completely on their own, right? You can go online. I care about cats with one eye. I type in cats with one eye. Here's the nonprofits that deal with that. I give my money directly. People want to give money directly to things that are making a difference, not an umbrella organization that then determines how your money is going to be spent.
I choose to give my money to a children's hospital when they're asking for money, St. Jude's,
Yep.
and they do great work, and 100% of my money goes to those poor kids who can't help themselves, right?
That's right.
That makes me feel good. So that's just my choice with my money.
And that makes sense. And then United Way, like our United Way doesn't do this. We still run those campaigns, but you can give your money to whomever you want. That's designated giving, right?
They
A lot
did
of
start that with our chapter here. I will
They
say
did?
that. Yes.
A
We
lot
can
of them
give
have-
our money in our county.
Yeah. A lot of United Ways have eliminated that so that they remain having the choice. That makes no sense to me. If as long as the place you want to give it is a legitimate 501c3, we ought to be able to help you do that.
I agree.
Right. So the nice thing about the United Way campaign is you can take a little bit of money out of your paycheck every pay period, right? And that accumulates. And that's a good thing that they do, but they haven't updated that. They haven't made themselves to be about anything, and it's aggravating to me. Anyway, so we
No, you're
stopped-
fine. This is all really interesting to me because
Yeah.
it's personal to me. And I'm always careful to tell the people around me because I'm also involved with our union, right? This is my opinion. I just choose to give my money, like you said, a lot of people do, to where 100% of my money is going to the cause, right?
Right.
I don't dissuade anyone from giving to the United Way. I actually encourage it. If you feel good about it, do it because doing something is better than nothing.
Right. And United Way does a lot of good stuff. I mean, and even if you're giving the money to St. Jude's, some portion of that money's going to admin, some portion of
course
that
it
money's going to back office folks. You got to have that as part to run a nonprofit. But yeah, it gets really screwy. And then we were allocating the money to other nonprofits who boy, talking about getting myself in trouble. Quite sincerely, I didn't think we're doing a very good job. Right. So if you're doing homeless work and our numbers of homeless folks are more every single year than they were the year before, where are the innovative ideas about how we're going to fix this thing? It's not the way we've been doing it. And so we stopped allocating money. We started our own programming. I am getting to the Azura part. So we do 5
No, you're
programs. And then after COVID, I started digging into who our clientele were. And our clients come from all over the valley, from really, in some instances, all over Arizona. But by United Way rules, I could only raise money in Mesa. And it seemed unfair to me that Mesa residents were paying for these services and we couldn't ask anyone else to help out. So we started a second nonprofit, which is Azura. We took all of those things that we do and we placed them under Azura and gave them their own EINs so they can raise money anywhere while Mesa United Way cannot. So Mesa United Way raises money in Mesa. We make sure that the money that we raise stays in Mesa for Mesa people. And then Azura can raise money anywhere to support that other programming.
That's awesome.
There you go. That's awesome.
I love it.
It took a little while to convince some United Way folks that it was awesome, but it worked. It worked out okay.
Well, and the other really
that's
cool
why-
thing. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I got something.
No,
else.
that's why I
It'll-
was
it'll lead down to a
saying-
different path.
I wanted your opinion on what you thought that they could do to do better, right? We're not bashing the United Way. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. If people
Absolutely.
they're doing great things. I'm not saying they're out there like, coaxing kids into devil worshiping or anything. They're not doing anything bad. I agree with you, and I'm glad I heard it from somebody who's on the front line that my opinion was vindicated, right? I
Yeah, what
thought
I've
that
been pushing United Way to do is to be about something. What is it that we're trying to fix? Let's be united around that. Is it literacy? Is it homelessness? Is it foster care? Is it veterans? Is it a disease? I don't care what it is. There's a lot of things to be tackled. United Way should be about one or two or three of those so that people
Sure.
can give to specifics as opposed to, I used to, you guys know, anyway, I used to do a campaign at a place in Mesa, pretty conservative, older people. And I got asked every single time, do you guys fund Planned Parenthood? Well, we never have, and we haven't. But other United Ways do because every United Way gets to choose how they do that, right? That's all good because we're like a franchise. But that lady was like, well, you shouldn't even be a part of a group that does that. It's like, hang on a minute.
right.
Relax a little bit. So if we could be about some specific things that we'd like to see and put all of the effort that we do as a United Way and all of the influence that we have into changing a problem as opposed to handing out the money for other people to change problems, that would give us legs. For 10 years, it's just been a downward slide. So
And I feel the same way. I feel like it's a sinking ship,
yeah. And
because of what you said earlier. People they know now, they're educated, they understand charities. You're right. In the 70s and 80s, they gave to charities and they thought that those people were doing what was right. Well, we found out that there were some pretty illegitimate charities, right? Like
absolutely.
the March of Dimes, you found out only a dime of your, the other 90 cents went to operating expenses. I got a whole list of them, right?
Oh,
United
yeah, there's
Way
a
is
huge list.
not in that list. They're in the good list.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to hear your opinion. I don't think you said anything that got you in trouble. I
Yeah,
think that that's what they need to hear, right?
It won't be the first time I've been in trouble. So
No, I really think that that's what they need to hear. I've told them that myself when I don't donate to our particular program. I'm like,
Yeah.
here's why. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just giving you my opinion as
I mean,
to
I,
where
gi- I
think
give I
things
give
could
my
be
money
better.
to the things I believe in,
Sure.
right? And that's what we ought to be doing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
anyway, yeah,
See, and what I do historically, which is why I liked Rotary, instead of giving money, I give my time.
right.
So for years
Just
I was
as valuable.
Right. So for years I was on the board of directors for the Resurrection Street Ministry, which owns Stuff Thrift Store, which is all about homeless, feeding homeless and seniors, and community outreach, and a veteran store, things like that. And then because I was a volunteer at Paz de Cristo, after about 3 months of being a volunteer coordinator, they kind of like, or just volunteering, they kind of said, well, you need to be a coordinator because you're just too good at this. So I'm like, that'd be great, So I ended up having 4 nights a month that I did meal coordination and that kind of jazz. And then about a year after being a coordinator, then they twisted my arm to join the board. So I joined the board and, was doing all these things. And I can't really go into detail of why I'm no longer there on the show. But,
It's a good story.
when you see something happen that shouldn't happen, and then you don't keep your mouth shut, because we know, if you both know me, I don't keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't allow it to be swept under the carpet, so I was asked to leave the board. I said, that's fine, I'll just go back to more coordinating. They're like, no, you won't. You can't do either now.
You're done.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I see how you are. And yeah, I've run into people that actually were on my nights of coordinating, which is kind of cool. And the first thing out of their mouth is, oh my God, I haven't seen you in over a year. And it's just not the same. It's not the same without you. It's a cluster. There's no flow. Thank you. I like that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But
that
that's
always makes
so-
you feel good for sure.
Right. So the timing of Troy Campbell, which I'm trying to get Troy on the show, Mike, but he's a little schemish because he works for ASU and he's afraid he would say things like Mark and get in trouble. Troy's
He's got
another
more
super-
worries than me. That's for sure.
Yeah, Troy's another superhuman. Like, I met him at an open house in Tempe years ago. He loved how my approach to things, and I sold him his house, and he's championed me ever since. And then I started seeing him post Rotary. I'm like, dude, what is this? Honest to God, I thought it had to do with automobiles, Rotary,
Oh, sure. Makes sense.
right? And he's like, no, it's this, and it's I'm like, oh, and as soon as he said volunteers, I'm like, I'm in. Let's
Yeah,
go.
it's right up your alley.
Yeah. So that's,
But
you
that's
know,
also why I do not talk about where I work, because unlike
Yeah.
Mark, I'm not on the board of directors, and
Right.
they don't need any advertisement, and you can get in trouble. That I've
Mm-hmm.
never said their name on this podcast, and I never will.
And you
I'll
can't,
tell you where I work after the show, Mark.
and I end up in that bucket. So I was talking to some folks yesterday, and it was somebody that I've worked with for 10 years or so, and she was introducing me to this other lady. And the lady asked me a question. I don't remember what it was. And I was kind of him and hawing around about it, because I don't know this other lady. And the woman who knew me said, just tell her like you normally say stuff. Just say it blunt and honest. And I went, okay. And I think, life would be easier if we would just do that and then still care about the other person, even if we disagree. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what I always say what you mean in the nicest way possible.
That's right.
I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. Like when we started this show, there was constructive criticism that Chris and I would give each other. It wasn't,
Yeah.
hey man, that sounded like shit the other day. If we don't
Right.
pick it up a little bit, this is never going to take. It was like, hey man, we need to get you a new microphone. He would say, you need to talk more, come out of your shell,
Yeah.
It was constructive. If everybody talked to everybody that way, it would be a beautiful world. I agree with you.
I agree. And everything would be better, right? If we weren't all living in our own little fortresses and thinking that everybody that we talk to is somehow an adversary. I mean, it's just kind of sad. I felt that in church world, right? It's like, I don't know. The church I was at here in Scottsdale, we had a great arts ministry, a college ministry, and no divorce recovery ministry at all. A church right around the corner from us had a great college ministry, and a church right up the street had a great divorce recovery ministry, but they both had terrible arts ministries. So I went to both of them and said, hey, look, we'll send our college kids to you. We'll send our, families that are going through divorce to you, and you send your dancers to us because you guys ain't dancing. Right. And there was no way that was going to happen. It's like, I thought we were all on the same page. I don't get this.
Aren't we on Team God?
Aren't we?
We're supposed to be, right?
I would, you kind of hope, I guess.
See,
Chris knows I have my own visions on that, but
So,
I think
but-
that there's an organized something. It just
That's
we don't know
hard.
what that is.
I haven't
So
been in
here's,
church.
yeah. So
in
here's
12 years. Yeah.
So here's a twist on that, right? So you've heard of Young Life, Mark, right?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Young Life leader, shocking to you, I know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Marcos Deniza High School. Okay. I was Young Life leader for 4 years. And I decided, because I was in college, I wanted to put together a rock band. So my very first rock band, I can, this because of our initial, one of our things we did at Rotary. I was the original lead singer for Disturbed. True story, no bullshit, legitimate fact. I was actually the true first lead singer for Disturbed because that was the name that I named the band. Again, off of a Pearl Jam video, the word Disturbed came up. I'm like, oh, that's a great name for a band, Disturbed. Okay. I got ostracized from Young Life because I wanted to go be in a band. And they felt by being in a band, I wasn't committed, and I wasn't committed to Young Life. And then I was turning, how do they say it? You're turning you're turning your back on your relationship with God. I'm like, really? Like,
I know.
His
It's like,
story
which
is
Jesus
everything
is-
that I hate about what, and you just said it again, Mark. You tried to get people to cooperate and they won't. And I would be like, did you guys not read I understood the message from the get-go as a little kid, right? It didn't make sense to me, but I still absorbed because I like to understand how things work, right?
Right.
And then when you see people working against each other in something that's supposed to be nothing but beautiful, right? Where's the disconnect? I love Chris's story. I love when he tells that story because here he is trying to do something positive and he's being ostracized for it, right? We don't do that. That's not what we do. Well,
Yeah, when
who
we-
are
when
you
we-
and who is we?
Well, yeah, and who made you arbiter of my life?
Thank
You know, when we came off the road with the band, we went to visit a Southern Baptist church in town. So we went for a couple weeks, and then we decided to join. So you walk up front and you tell the guy we're going to join. And the pastor wanted to meet with us. And so we went and sat in his office and he said, "You guys play rock and roll music, right?" And I said, "Well, that's a stretch, but we play in a band, right?" I mean, we play clubs and stuff. And he said, "Well, if you're going to be a member of this church, that's going to have to stop." And I thought, "Fuck you."
Absolutely.
You guys won't let me play in church because the saxophone doesn't belong here.
Nor
So,
does the electric guitar.
or the electric
That was
guitar.
me.
So what am I going to do? And and it's such nonsense anyway. You don't know my life. And so yeah, I mean, we were a member of that church for 3 days, and then we went to a different place. But I ended up getting a job. But yeah, that whole concept of God told me what you need to do.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like
He loves that. He loves that question.
Like, I'm right here, God. If you want to tell me something, just tell me. I don't need it to come through some knucklehead that can't even figure out how to tie their shoes.
Right. And what blew my mind about the Young Life thing, the whole thing, for those of you who don't know what Young Life is, it's a youth-centered youth group in high school that is designed to kind of build a rapport with high schoolers that may not have anybody else. They're the outcasts, the stoners, the Kirby's. It's not Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's the polar opposite of that.
Right.
So I bonded very well with that core of students because I had the long hair, because I was acting at the time. Didn't realize I wanted to be in bands yet, but I listened to what they listened to. I listened to the Metallica and the Ozzy and the Black Sabbath and the Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. Everything was coming out of Seattle.
He was the
at
cool
time.
kid.
And, right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. So, and I graduated high school at 19 years old. So I wasn't, the age gap wasn't a lot. I was 20 because it was pretty much right after high school. So 19, 20, 21-ish, within that realm. So I identified with everything, right? Everybody else that was Young Life leaders with me, they were late 20s, early 30s, married, kids, that kind of thing. So there's that gap. So much so that, this is fucking a joke. So a core of these leaders went to a Metallica concert, okay, when they were playing Phoenix International Raceway with Guns N' Roses. And they prayed in the back because they felt such an evil presence, and it was so dark and
You have
and
got to be kidding me.
no, it was the biggest fucking joke that I ever heard come out of somebody's mouth who was the area director for Young Life. We had kids that would, Poison was huge, and every Something to Believe In came out.
Yep.
And one of the kids was talking about that. So after club, I had it record. I used to record MTV all the time because that's you.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I had that somewhere recorded. So I brought it to our next post club meeting and I played it. And I remember him laughing, this leader, when Bret Michaels teared up in the part where my best friend died a lonely man in a Palm Springs
true
hotel
story.
room. Right. True fucking story. The dude overdosed.
It was his best friend, his
Right.
bodyguard.
And-
It was his
Right.
everything.
Right. And this leader, who's the regional
brother.
director at the time, mocked that shit and thought, what a joke. And I'm like, dude, like seriously, you don't know the context of the song. You don't know the context of why that's
not
emotional.
acting.
Right. And I explained to him, this is his best friend who was his bodyguard, who he's known forever, who overdosed in a hotel room in Palm Springs. Like, it's legit ripped from his life, words on the script. And just, I mean, that song connected with so many kids because
Oh,
literally,
no question.
Now you want something to believe in. Who doesn't want something to believe in?
It's the reason it was number one.
Right. So that and the Metallica thing, and then I come to them and say, hey, I'm going to step away because I want to put together a band. And I'm kid you not, one of the leaders that I knew was a friend of mine. We went to high school together. That's it. Our relationship severed because I wanted to be in a rock and roll band. It's like, you can't do that. Well, why not? Because part of Young Life was skits. And so
Right.
I thrived in the skits because that was my first real experience being in front of people and being on a quote unquote stage and acting from that level and doing stupid, silly shit where I realized I don't have a filter. I don't have any self-awareness when I'm up here. This just feels fantastic, which
That
then,
was the part I loved the most, man.
right,
You're never going to
Which-
be more free than standing on that stage.
right.
Amen to
So,
that.
so for them to kind of say you can't do that, and if you do that, you can't be a leader. It's like, wow, okay, well, I guess, see you later, bye. Now, full circle, this person I referenced, I've connected with him on Facebook. So, Mike and I were talking one episode. We found out that Cliff Burton's dad had carried on Cliff's legacy by putting, I forget now, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids through college.
Oh, it was an immense amount. Through music
Scholarships,
school. Yeah.
just insane. And I had shared that with this person, and then of course he backpedaled. You know, well, that's not what I did. That's bullshit, dude.
And how many millions of dollars does Metallica
Right.
give to charity at every city? You know, they
At
give
least $1
hundreds
million.
of thousands
Right.
at every
Right.
city they give to,
Right.
if not more than $1 million sometimes.
Then I saw a clip of Hetfield talking, and he was referencing the accident with the tour bus and Cliff, and it was very poignant because he was just kind of like this, having a conversation with somebody, and he referenced in the conversation of how he prays every day and how that was such a struggle in Cliff Glide. They were at a crossroads from a band standpoint. They didn't know what they're going to do, and it just didn't understand why God took him away. I sent that clip to him. Here's your demon, man.
Yeah, because he
Here's
grew
your
up in
guy
a
that's-
Christian Science
Right.
household.
Right. Here's
The
your
poor guy watched his mother
Yes.
die not getting medication because she
Yes.
believed in God so much. Right?
Yes. And where I'm going with this is the hypocrisy
Agreed.
of Christians is just unbelievable. I mean, not all of them. I'm not
Let me
putting
tell
them
you
all in
this.
that box.
I heard
No,
this
and,
the
no,
other day.
and it's the not being self-aware. Look, we all have our moments of hypocrisy, right? I mean,
Oh, sure,
it's
sure.
because we're human.
But
it's
we
that.
admit to it right here.
Well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. It's this not being able to recognize that within yourself, right? That pointing fingers at everybody else. Well, your life's falling apart. You know, how about just let people just leave them alone, right? We're not called that. I mean, Scripture's pretty simple. We're not called to judge people. We're called to love people. That's all. We don't need to have a discussion about it. That's
Nope.
pretty simple.
Let me ask you
So-
the $1 million question, Mark,
Yeah.
because I ask everybody this, and now you're a subject matter expert. Chris likes life resumes, which I love. I like when people are what I call subject matter experts. You were a
Okay.
pastor for 30 years, correct?
Yep.
My question at 6 years old, because I understood there were other religions in the world, right? So I have to believe in Jesus, that he died for my sins, right? And this is going to get me to heaven. I understood the message. But my question was, what about all these other people? And at that time it was kids. What about all these other little kids that are Jewish and Muslim and Islam and Hindu and Buddhist? They don't believe in Jesus. And by your definition, they're all going to hell, and I cannot accept that. It bothered me so much, like it bothered my soul. I knew I was an empath at that point, right? I'm feeling things
Yeah.
on a level that most people don't. And that's been my whole life. So what is your answer to that question if I had presented that to you at that time?
When I was in my 20s, I would have given you the stock answer and not felt very good about it. I
I
struggled.
like that part of your answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't start going to church until I was in the 9th grade. So, and then I made this mistake of actually reading the Bible through, right? Which I'm not sure very many people have done. So in 9th grade, I read through,
I've done it three times.
I only made it all the way through once, but I did it.
and then I had a million questions. It's like the stuff you guys say,
Yes.
it doesn't make any sense to me. So
That was their first mistake, was asking me to read that book.
that's exactly right. You should have told me, don't read it. We're going to tell you what to think.
Thank you.
So
They might have got me.
I think early in my ministry, I would have given you that common answer and really felt crummy about it because it's never made any sense to me that this God that we can't explain, this God that is bigger than all of us, this God that is whatever, that we are the only people who have the right path to that and everybody else is screwed. It doesn't make any sense
That's
to me.
always my final question to anybody who just gets too indignant about that they're absolutely right. I'm like,
Right.
oh, time out. First off, you don't know and I don't know because we're not dead yet, right? And thank whoever for that, right?
Right.
But that's how I always diffuse a situation. It's like, man, Jesus, time out, no pun intended.
But fair enough.
So I love your answer, man.
I mean, is
love-
God not able to reveal himself or herself to other people in other ways? I
I'm
mean,
still waiting. So many people have died waiting, right? My great grandma was sure that he was coming soon. My grandma was she was the one that kind of got me on the iffy path. So thank you, Grammy,
yeah.
for making me think and open my eyes and teaching me about humanity, right? I can thank her and my mother and my great grandmother for the humanity side of it, right? They taught me empathy and that other people have feelings and that you're not always right. And Christians, here's what I heard the other day that I want to hear what you guys think. The guy said, good people do good things, bad people do bad things. But when good people do bad things, it's religion.
Wow,
That's
that's an interesting.
That's rattled around in my head for a while.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I just look at the history of the church.
Just saying that that's their way of justifying doing their bad things, right? Because we just said, if you read the book, there's so many things you're not supposed to do.
Right.
I got in so much trouble in the ministry one time because the answer is that whole question: why do good things? Why do bad things happen to good people?
Good people, right?
And my God, the gymnastics that people do trying to come up with an answer to that question that just always sounds like bullshit. I mean, God allows it, blah blah blah. So I had really developed my own. I mean, others have shared this, but my version of this, which was God doesn't know everything, and He's not all powerful. Because if He is, He's to blame for a lot. If there are things He could stop that He chooses not to, if there are things that happen in people's lives, you support St. Jude's. What? It's God's plan to give a 3-year-old cancer. I mean, that makes no sense.
No.
So I can't live with that. I can't live with that.
He's going to kill
God
this poor
knows
little
and-
kid so I can give $20 a month or whatever.
Right. I mean, it makes no sense.
It starts to get real irrational.
In order for me to continue to believe in God, I have to choose to believe He's not in control of everything and He doesn't know everything. And that makes regular Christian folks insane.
So I'll make them even more insane. I just say, I choose to live a good life and try to do good things and do good by people. This is where I came to in my life, right? Because I had to throw away all the guilt. All religion ever gave me was guilt. I was like riddled with it because I'm trying to take it seriously like I do everything in my life. And it's almost driving me insane. So at one point I was just like, if there is a God in the sense that I was taught, when I get there, I'm going to have a lot of explaining to do, right? That's where we're at. That's how I have to live with my life, and that'll really spin their head around.
One of the two of you has got a lot of explaining to do. It may be God that has a lot of explaining to do.
That's how I
it's
feel.
like, it's like, hey man, you want to run this by me again?
But then those people are like the arrogance of you, How dare you?
Yeah, you're a heretic. I was called a heretic.
But I've done better in my life with this thought process. I've become a nicer person. People like me. I have a lot of friends. This is always my argument, right? I'm not sure where I'm going wrong because this is the best point in my life, spiritually and emotionally, than I've ever been in. Chris knows I would have never done this 40 years ago, or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
He would have been doing all the interviews and I would have said a couple words and moved on. It's like, hey, that's your department, right? Go.
My oldest daughter, all my kids are good musicians. My oldest daughter was a worship leader for a long time, and she worked at the same church. We all left. She went to Harvard, got her degree got her master's in philosophy, and now she works. If you're in the Christian world, you know who Gungor is. Gungor was a musician, wrote a ton of church songs. He also left the church. So he's put together this group of musicians she's going to Colorado next month, that write spiritual songs that aren't tied to any specific faith, right? Songs about the spiritual part of who we are without it having to be locked in to being Christian or Muslim or Jewish or whatever it may be. And that feels really good. When I was working at Westminster, I was reading through some church stuff and it pissed me off. And so I slammed the lid down on my computer and said, I am done. I'm done with Baptist. And these two Muslim girls came up and said, hey, can we talk to you? I said, sure. They said, hey, we're worried that you're going to hell. Would you like to become a Muslim? I went, no.
No, yours is just as nuts.
I'm trying to avoid rules. You guys are nothing but rules. You know, the Bible says it is for freedom's sake that you are set free. And then so we become free and then we burden ourselves with a bunch of rules that don't make any sense.
That's the point. They don't make sense.
They don't make sense.
I'm so glad you keep saying that. I love it because that is the point. And people look at you like you're nuts when you say stuff like that. It's getting better. I mean, living in 2025, you don't have as much of a horrible reaction as you did in 1985, right? Or even 1995.
Sure. I mean, the fastest growing group of Christians in the United States are called the nuns. Do you know this? The NONES, meaning they have faith, but they refuse to go to church. So because they feel like church doesn't really reflect what Jesus wants from people. So that's the fast. So on my staff, I'm an ex-pastor. Our COO is an ex-pastor. My board chair is an ex-pastor. Because we lost our way somehow. I'm not exactly sure what happened.
What killed me, Mark, was when I found out that when they translated the Bible from Hebrew, it didn't go from Hebrew to English. It went from Hebrew to Aramaic to English, right? So it's a second generation. And the example that the guy gave me that made me really stop and think is, have you ever gotten instructions from something that was made in China and the person that wrote the instructions barely spoke English?
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's the Bible.
Well, that, and then, the group of men who chose what went in and what didn't go in and how those verses should be translated.
That's where it gets even more bastard.
It gets
while tripping on mushrooms.
There you
Another
go.
good point, correct. There was no internet or television. There was the acacia bush, which was full of DMT, which is the most psychoactive substance on earth. I've done it 3 times.
How was it?
It'll take you to a place that will assure you that there's something after this, in my opinion, but I'm not quite sure what it is. It was the most geometric. So the shapes, the visuals, geometric color, but the geometry is like something you've never seen, right?
Huh.
But the thing that got me was and I got goosebumps in every part of my body, including my toenails right now. It was overwhelming love. Like I understood unconditional love in that trip over anything else I've ever done.
With the exception of Ben Stiller, everybody that's done those has said the same thing. A friend of mine went to Mexico, did 2 days, said it was the most enlightening spiritual experience of his life.
And I've also done peyote, mescaline. I've done acid. I've done mushrooms. Those aren't. And when people hear you say that, they're like, "Oh my God!" And I just laugh because I'm like, now I know you've never done it because it's not something that you strive to do again. I waited 15 years between a lot of those.
Yeah,
but
I didn't start drinking whiskey till I was 50, so I missed out on pretty much all this.
I was 43 maybe when I started drinking whiskey. So
yeah,
or a good bourbon. I like.
Yeah, a good bourbon. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
What are you digging through, Chris?
I'm trying to find a song I wrote called Letter
I'm
to
starting
God.
to think I hijacked the conversation and he just fuck, screw it.
He's doing escrow paperwork.
He knows I'm joking with him.
There's a song I wrote in my
I knew
last
exactly what he was doing. That's why I didn't say anything.
called Letter to God, and I was trying to find it because it
That's a great song, dude.
Thank you. There's I'll bring you a CD, Mark.
Yeah, I'd like that.
It's basically it kind of summarizes people's questions about God's existence. Like, what would you say in a letter to God today? Why would you offer? What would I? Why would you? Why would you offer? Okay, the dynamic of it's this. I wrote it after the Sandy Hook shooting, with 20 some odd kids were killed. Yeah. So that was the emotion that I was going through, and but there's references in the song about why would you offer the keys to the gate for a sinner to sit next to the saints? Why would you, like Dahmer? Okay, Dahmer. The whole belief, and Mike, you'll understand this, and I'm sure Mike, you will at some level. The whole concept of Christianity is accept, believe, and commit. Accept Jesus Christ died for your sins. Believe that He died for your sins. And commit your life to Him.
Sure.
Right. Whatever that looks like.
Yep.
So I struggle with that part of it because I had a friend in Young Life. I'm going to squirrel a moment here. I had a friend in Young Life, but you'll see where it's going. Who he was very adamant about his mother not being a Christian. Like, she didn't believe, she didn't practice, she thought it was a joke. She died. Me being me, I approached him the next time I saw him. Hey, we'll just call him, hey, your mom died. She didn't believe, so she's in hell. Total dick move on my part. Like, total dick move.
Ouch.
Right. It wasn't that I was trying to like him. It was a legitimate question, because I knew he walked, and he still walks, because I follow his wife on Facebook. I've tried to apologize him. He won't talk to me anymore, which, it is what it is. I was an ass. I recognized as
we were all asses when we were young, man. We were stupid.
But I recognized when I threw those words out of my mouth, like, oh, that was the wrong thing to say, or at least the wrong way to phrase it. And
you didn't mean it the way it came out. Right?
No, but he didn't have an answer to it, which was wrong in my eyes, because you have to have that answer, because she didn't accept, she didn't believe, she didn't commit, she's in hell.
That's why I like the fact that he said he
Right.
wouldn't have felt good about his answer.
Right. But all things considered, from a Christian, the whole concept of Christianity is ABC. So in those clear-cut layman terms, his mom's in hell.
Correct.
Now, do I believe that now as a 55-year-old man? No, I don't, because I'm the same thing. I grew up wanting to be a high school minister at one point in time, and then, life changed, and I wanted to be a rock star, and blah, 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 blah. But so when I wrote Letter to God, it talks about the fact that how can you allow somebody like Dahmer, who, for all intents and purposes, according to the conversations, the history of his time in prison, he found God. Okay. He committed himself to God. And then within a month's time, he was beaten to death in the bathroom. So if Christianity, the ABC is a true and fact statement, and that's what we have to live by, Dahmer's up in heaven right now, chilling with Ozzy, because
and I'm going to hell.
Right. So, but that's the thing. So Ozzy, God blessed everybody every night, after his shows, right? Him and Jack, there was a conversation I saw him and Jack. Jack was asking him what he believes in. Ozzy's kind of like you, Mike. He doesn't believe in a God, but he believes in a higher power. So when I went through
I believe in an organization of something.
Exactly. So when I went through AA the first year of being sober, I mean, that was the thing. Everybody's like, oh, I'm sober by the grace of God. And we've talked about this before.
There's too many coincidences in this universe to think that it's not organized somehow. And that's what I mean by organized. Please don't think I mean religion, people.
No, absolutely
I mean that the universe is too organized, and there's too many things that happen that you can't explain.
Right.
That something's going on somewhere. Like Mark said, either we have somebody who's asleep at the wheel sometimes, and that's a strong possibility.
Sure.
Or we all live in a simulation that we've advanced so far that none of this shit's real, and we don't even know it, and we never will.
Right.
Or who the fuck knows? And that's the fun part of it, and that's why we're sitting here talking, and I love it.
Yeah. So that was and I had different people react to Letter to God different ways. I was working with some guys from Israel, and I gave them the CD, and then when they went back to Israel, they sent me a message. Wow, Letter to God, huh? I was like, yeah. And they didn't mean it like in a nice way. They were kind of like,
how
what
dare you?
Did you write? Right. Yes. but that was my kind of way to just kind of put it in writing, that because I had the same stuff with Mike. Like I grew up and I was beaten, I was abused, I was molested, I was fucked with. I mean, just I had a horrific.
But that's
childhood.
one
So I-
thing I loved about you as a front man. You would
Right.
say the things that were hard to say at that.
Yeah.
His lyrics were very powerful, man. They made you think. There were
Yeah.
certain things that stood out, and there were certain things that if you read them, you'd be like, "Whoa, hey, this dude's deep." That was my first thought. Like, this guy's deep. He's 23 years old, and he's writing shit like he's lived 60 years already.
Where did you guys meet?
He tells the story better than I do.
Okay, so Candlebox concert. We were a place called the Electric Ballroom in Tempe, and Candlebox came on, and I started singing with Kevin Martin, the lead singer. And then
This
when I'm
place
saying,
holds about 1,500 people, maybe
Right.
2,000.
Okay.
right, so when I say I'm singing with him, I'm singing with him, note for note. I'm hitting his highs, his lows. It's you might as well just put a
He
mic in
wasn't
my
humming
hand.
along.
No, you put a mic in my hand, and I was doing what he was doing. So this long-haired creepy dude, after in between each song, kept looking back at me, and it was kind of like that look, like shut the fuck up. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this even more now. So then I really start coming from the diaphragm and singing and hitting it, and stage goes out. Half the stage power goes out. Was the thing the ballroom had, whatever, breaker pop.
Like it
house
was
lights
meant
go
to
on.
be.
Right, house lights go on. The band talks, blah, blah, blah. Mike turns around with a business card. Are you a singer? He had a business card that said, at the time, the band was called Desperate Angel, with his name and phone number. And I was like, yeah. He's like, we're looking for a singer for my band, man. I was
We
like, right
literally
on.
had just fired our bass player, who was also our singer, because he had stage fright, something terrible. And
Wow.
we had gigs booked, and we needed a singer and a bass player now. And I'm like, bass player is a little tough to find, but a front man is almost impossible. It's like trying to find a good drummer. You were a musician. Two things that you can't replace: your drummer and your front man. I don't
Yeah.
care who you are as a band, you're not going to succeed, and we didn't either. So
Yeah.
So true.
That was it. And then we went out, met Scott and him at a bar. We hung out, drank some beers and shit, then went back to Scott's house where we would practice and jammed. And so my audition, Mike and I decided a couple weeks ago on an episode.
dude, he showed up with like a briefcase full of lyrics already. I was like, if any of those are any good, like, you're in, because I've already heard you sing, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not all of them. I couldn't.
I
find
knew
the
he was.
last
I
one.
knew he was committed and prepared. Just because I heard him sing, I'm like, as long as he's got any kind of stage presence. Then we met him at a bar. We had a few beers, and while we're having some beers, he's like, "Yeah, I was in acting school, and I was an actor, and I've done this, and I've done commercial spots, and
Plays
I've been in other bands." And he mentioned the bands, and I knew the bands. Disturbed was one of them, and they
The other one
weren't
was
even
Andalusian-
famous
the other
yet.
one, the other one was Andalusian Dog.
And I had heard of them too, because you guys had played out.
And the reason why you heard of Andalusian Dog, Mark, is because the marketing genius of me started back then.
Ah, all right.
Because the ballroom had these spots that you could advertise. So I advertised Andalusian Dog because we had yet to play out. But I'd go to the ballroom, look at bands, and because back then nobody shaved their head, my head was shaved. So I was recognizable because there's only one bald man in the crowd. And then I grew it out, and then I ended up shaving it again for the bald cap thing. But it was one of those things that, because I had marketing, I had myself was the main character of the band, being the singer. It was just me standing on stage, or not really on stage, but in the studio with the name of the band behind us. But Andalusian Dog Neil came up with it, our drummer, who Neil was the one that made my mic stand, Mike. I had this really
nice.
badass mic stand that I actually put my hand in this resin.
He got so many compliments on this
And,
thing, dude.
and so my hand was where the mic would be. So the microphone came in on my hand.
It was
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, the base of it.
How much did
because
that
I-
thing weigh? Probably 30 pounds.
Probably 30 pounds. The base of it, because I was really into Morrison, was raven's claws and talons. So you had my shoulder down to my hand coming up from this raven's claws, and all the veins and stuff in my arm picked up
Yeah.
on the black resin. It was amazing.
So I got to
so-
tell I got to tell a boss story about this mic
Okay,
stand
okay,
that
okay.
Chris will never understand because he wasn't into the sound and the, you know, I dealt with all that shit. So
Mm-hmm.
the sound man would say, "How many mic stands do you need?" And then he would speak up, "I got my own." It was so fucking cool. And those guys got such a kick out of it because no singer in the world showed up with their own mic stand.
Just
you
their
know?
own
Chris
mic
is like,
stand, yeah.
"I got it covered. And if you need me to kick anybody's ass, I got it covered too." Because that thing was like a
Exactly.
weapon.
Yeah. Well,
Here,
the
I'll
fun
share
thing was,
with you.
yeah,
See,
the
you
fun thing
guys-
was
Go ahead.
Neil was an art student at ASU, so it was an art project. He had to
was
use some kind of
badass.
element that wasn't normal for art. So it was an art project. He got an A on, then he gave it to me, and then the cool thing about it was perfectly. We measured it so I could hold the mic like this, and my foot could go underneath the Raven's claws, and I could rock it on stage.
Very cool.
Like it was. I mean,
It
it was.
was.
It was an extension, and then we went. The last band I was on, we went to Sturgis, rode to Sturgis tour, and the person I don't like to talk to threw something in the back of the truck, and then all of a sudden you see the mic stand go boop,
Oh no.
and the drummer Jesse, the drummer's like just freaked out. He's like, "That's a bad omen. That's holy shit. We're gonna fall apart. Something bad's gonna happen." The whole band fell apart while we were there because his ego, not Jesse, the other guy, just Josh wanted to quit. Jesse quit as soon as we got back to Arizona. And it was never the same. Neil tried to fix it.
Is
Is
that the dude I jammed with?
Josh, yeah. The bass player, yeah.
Josh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See, you guys are super cool. Here was a band I was in when I was a senior in high school.
Do share.
Oh, right on.
Tumbling
Tumbling
dice.
Tumbling Dice.
You guys were epic, dude.
This is me.
I love it. I love the fact you're committed. That's
Pimp
badass.
Daddy.
Why we're
Okay,
showing
he's
stuff.
sharing ours now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, much hipper than what I just showed you.
Yeah. And it's,
That's at the
stays.
Mason Jar,
Yeah.
if you're familiar, Mark.
I am.
Yep, that's on the stage at the Mason Jar,
That's
probably
pretty
opening it
cool.
up for Sacred Reich.
Yeah. There's Chris. There's Mike.
You guys play at all anymore?
We're
Well, he's in
actually
Illinois.
we're actually trying to do things remotely now. We're working on redoing the song that you heard at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And I'm holding things up now, so that's why I don't talk about it a lot. But it's
Well,
the bass track's done, the
yeah,
drum track's done. I just need to get a guitar track so he can lay down a vocal, and that was the original conversation. I can't remember if I called Chris or he called me. I think
I
he
called you because I called you because I wrote a song.
That was
And
it. Yeah.
and I sent you the lyrics, and you were like, "Dude, that's fucking badass." I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's start writing music again."
And
then he
shortly
had the-
after that, I
yeah.
developed trigger finger, so I
Right.
couldn't play for like, I don't know, months.
Oh,
My sister's
man.
a physical therapist, and I finally stopped being a man and said, "How do I repair this?" You know, and she says, "Do this and hope it works, and if it doesn't, you're gonna have to have surgery." So I followed her instructions, and it worked, and I'm still, able to play today. So thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
we'll
that's
have some new
really-
stuff
go
coming
ahead,
out.
man. What's that?
No, we'll have some new stuff coming out here pretty soon. I get bugged about it all the time because everybody's like, "Oh, you're a musician. You told me you play guitar." Like, we never heard anything. That gets old.
No.
So you got to call their bluff eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here you go, pal.
Do you still play?
I do. I actually, it's a whole different planet. But yeah, I play in a,
Music's music, man. I love it all.
I play in a jazz group that plays once a month up in North
Awesome.
Scottsdale. And then the family.
What's that called? Plug it.
No, man, you can't come see it.
No, plug
I-
it.
I can't.
You don't have to.
I can't. I don't know what it's called. It's just
Oh.
a bunch of old guys.
He's like, "You don't understand. We don't have a name."
Yeah. They've been doing it for 26 years. They haven't gotten
Okay.
around to having a name. And then the family has a band.
Awesome.
And so my wife's a keyboard player. Anyway, everybody's a musician. So, but we rent ourselves, we actually play for free for nonprofits that are doing a fundraiser. So
That's really
that's what
cool.
we do. But it's all pop music, I'm thrilled if I'm playing Stevie Wonder and Bruno Mars. So,
I love both those.
yeah.
My playlist will go anywhere from Michael Jackson to Pantera back to back.
There you go. That's good.
Well, and that's indicative of who we were too, because we opened for anybody from Marshall Tucker Band, Sacred Reich, Tony McAlpine. I mean, it's enough's enough. I mean,
Seven Dust, LA
Right, it was-
Guns.
right. It's just yeah, it's one of those things that back then we didn't realize who we were playing with,
Right.
and then now it's like, kidding me?
I just learned we opened for a band, and you guys can probably help me, that was called Mammoth,
Yep.
that then became
Van Halen,
Van Halen. We opened for them.
who is
in-
now Mammoth again. Eddie's kid.
Yeah. We opened for them in Bismarck, South Dakota.
Wow,
That's awesome.
that's awesome.
What
I
what year
was
was that?
19,
Maybe
it would've been-
76.
78, I think.
Yeah.
So right before they changed their name.
Yeah, I had no idea
Wow,
what we were. Yeah.
how was that?
You literally
remember it?
saw Eddie Van Halen before anybody knew who he was. You got to
Yeah,
tell me
and
that
I
story.
didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I was too busy trying to be cool.
I love this guy.
I told you, he's great.
I just love
before,
people who are honest.
yeah, so before we let you go, I want you to plug Foster's 360.
Okay.
So this is another thing that Mark does, and then we'll wrap everything up because we're over an hour, and I don't want to take you away from what you got to do. So talk about Foster's 360 and what that's all about.
Absolutely love to. So, so I've been working for 10, 12 years trying to figure out some kind of a solution for the homelessness problem, and have just banged my head against the wall and haven't been very effective. And then we do a lot of work with foster kids, and I discovered that about half of the kids that age out of foster care end up homeless within 2 years, right? And I thought, okay, well, if we're going to work to battle homelessness, we need to be doing it upstream. How do we keep kids from becoming homeless as opposed to waiting until they are homeless and trying to get them off the street? So we started this program called Foster 360, which is housing and trauma-informed care for young people. We were we were pioneering that in many ways. So all of our students go to Barrow. They get tested for traumatic brain injury. The majority of them have traumatic brain injury. They enter. What's that?
I've been there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
They enter into our program. We don't have an end date on it. The deal is never homeless again. So the kids will come in, they go through 6 months of just getting their spirit quiet. And then we start to work with them about finishing school or getting an education or getting a job and teaching them life skills, because they don't have that thing that many of us have, which is if I go out and try and fail, I can move back home. They don't have a back home to move to, right? So we really do become that safety net for them, and I'm really proud of that program.
That's awesome.
It does great things for those young people, and we just went through a leadership transition, and I'm really excited about where we're going. We got some kids that are going to graduate out. We're going to add some more kids to our housing. We're going to add about 20 kids to a cohort that we don't have housing for, but that we'll be working through life skills and the trauma-informed stuff. And we'd really like to grow that program up. So yeah, I'm excited about that work.
So when you say graduate out, I don't want to hold you up too much more either, but
That's right.
when you say graduate out, I know they all start at different times probably. You're saying like foster care ends at what age?
20. Well, it ends at 18, and then there's extended foster care till 24.
Okay. So how long are they in your program on average if they're going to be a success story?
Until they're ready to not be.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that answer.
Because we don't take federal money, we don't take state money. Those things all pretty much say these have to be 2-year programs, or you have to boot them out when they're 24. It's like, what if they're not ready when they're 24? We
why I
got
asked
it when
that
they were
question.
22. They didn't have their GED. So we need to work them through getting their GED and either getting a skill or getting a degree. Well, already you're at 4 years, right? So,
Yes.
and they need to be able to make enough money to live here. So some of the students can come in, they've got their AA, they're able to get ready, find a job. We've had some kids come through EVIT. They get a job as a plumber or an electrician. They're ready to go. Others, there's not. There's no one size fits all. Everybody has their own story, their own background, their own brokenness. And you can't determine what it's going to take to fix somebody with some arbitrary number that either the government has given you or somebody's told you. So
Thank
when they're
you.
ready, they're ready.
We could talk for a million hours because most people don't understand that there's those rules and regulations in what they consider welfare and charity that's funded by the state, the government, the county, the city, whatever. You know, they
Right.
put stipulations on those kind of things, and that's why they fail at such a high success rate.
Oh,
which is
absolutely.
a weird thing to say. They
There's
fail
a
at a high
person I
success
know,
rate.
she's really intelligent. And I have to be careful. I don't want to, anyway. But she has determined that for her family, her husband and her two children, in order for them to not get the benefits of disability and all of that, she'd have to be making about $82,000 a year. So we've offered her a full-time job, but we can't reach that. But for her, the benefits are either all or nothing. Well, what kind of sense does that make? So if we could give her 50,000 a year and she would need from you guys, support of 20,000 a year, why can't there be a sliding scale so people can get out of this poverty into a place of success? It's all or nothing. And if it's all or nothing, I'm going to pick all. I'm not picking nothing.
Anybody is. We have to survive.
That's right.
It's
And
like
so-
the people who don't want to hunt. Trust me, if you had to feed your kids, you'd be shooting at whatever.
That's right. So we make these arbitrary rules that are nonsensical, and then we blame the people who are taking advantage of those things instead of blaming the systems that are in place that make people stay in those places of weakness. It
Amen,
just
brother.
makes no sense.
Amen.
Okay, there's a podium. There was a pulpit moment for you.
No, I love your program. That's why I asked that question. I want people to understand there's a difference between these state and federally funded programs and what you're doing. You're funding it yourself and you're putting out success stories because these people know there's not a time limit for them to succeed. Success is not a time limit. Everybody succeeds differently and success is different for everyone, right?
That's right. We have two taglines. One is never homeless again. The other one is success as you see it. It's not my place to determine for someone else what success looks like. And they have their own giftings, their own background, their own life. And part of the reason that we continue to do so much where we don't make any headway is we have these arbitrary rules and then we just see the same people over and over because we never really finished with helping them.
Great
And then
point.
they get discouraged and they feel worthless. And it's like, come on, you guys, think about the person, not the institution.
Yep.
Let's help the person. The institution, if we do a good job with helping the person, the institution will find a way to maintain.
Yep.
That's it.
That's Mark
Thank you,
Young, boys and
guys.
girls. Hey, and we always wrap up the show like this for Chris. Hello for Chris. I'm Chris. He's Mike. That's Mark Young. If you're feeling bad, if you're depressed, if you're suicidal, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. Somebody does love you. Somebody will miss you. Don't leave a hole in somebody's heart because you're struggling with the day.
That's right.
Journal, scream into a pillow, go run, go work out, do something to clear your mind. Find some inner peace, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow. It's a better day. You will be missed. You are loved. Thanks again for joining us, Mark Young. You're just a superhuman, dude. I'm so
Thanks,
glad.
you
That was
guys.
so
No,
much fun, man.
That was great.
Anytime you
Appreciate
have
it.
time and you want to
Yeah,
come on, you
yeah,
shoot
yeah.
Chris an email and we'll make time. That was
You just
that was
holler.
a blast.
All right,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks, fellas.
See
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Peace. Love you, brother.
Peace.
Yep.
Love you too,
Yeah.
man.
All right.